social media is your resume because they might Google you and find you. And yes, they can see your credits on IMDb, but what are you doing in the meantime?
How good are you at using social media for your acting career? Well, today we are talking to social media strategist and owner of Media 43 Inc., Mr. Frankie Manis. And he is walking us through the A, B, and C's of what you need to know, like how to network with casting directors on social media. If this is your first time here, my name is Lydia Nicole, and this is Acting Smarter Now. Why should actors have social media accounts?
It's so important. Honestly, I tell actors all the time that having social media can get you a job and it can also lose you a job. And so my thing is networking isn't the same as it was several years ago. And now it's so important because you need to be able to meet casting directors. You need to be able to meet directors and agents and communicate with people, and you don't have the luxury of going into an office anymore or hitting up a party every single night in Hollywood or anything like that. So social media has become the number one way that actors can stay connected to each other, to the projects they're working on, and help get the next one.
What is the first thing an actor needs to do to get started on social media?
The super simple answer is like just get an account and sign up. Like I always talk to people where it's like, if it's September and you wait to get in shape after New Year's, you're just 4 months behind, 3 months behind, right? Like, just do it. Just sign up, get on an account, post a headshot, post your reel. If you don't have those, then we've got a different set of issues. But just getting started.
So before they set up an account, they should make sure they have their name so that they
Yeah.
don't have 20 different names on every account.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing because if you're on there, it's it's better than not, right? Like I always look at it as there's no perfect way to do it. We just look to be better. So I'm in a lucky position where there aren't a lot of Frankie Manises besides my cousin who's also named Frankie Manis, but we look different enough so it's okay, and he doesn't have a huge social presence. So I have all the handles. But there are people that do struggle to get those, and I always tell people the number one thing you could do is like, all right, if Frankie Manis is taken, take Frankie Manis actor, or actress. Like that's the easiest thing you can do. But securing your handles, getting on there. I actually talk about this in a seminar I host for social media for actors. And the number one thing I tell people is social media is like real estate. They're not going to make more of it, and you got to claim yours. So even if you think you're going to do it in a year or you want to do it at some point, get those handles, get those accounts, get on there right away.
Okay, so once they've gotten their handle and they're on the different platforms, how should they address their bio?
That's important. I actually have my own theory that I talk a lot about in my seminar and with my clients. Um, it's essentially, I've kind of made this up myself, so I'm pretty proud of it, but it's called the three pillars theory, that like you can't really be known for more than three things. So when you're talking about the bio, everybody is always wary of the multi hyphenate, right? Like, I'm an actor, I'm an editor, I also do some directing and writing, I'm also an improviser, and I work at, Mastro's Steakhouse, and I Uber on the weekends, and, I'm also a painter. Like, if you've already lost whoever you're trying to get you to take seriously there, obviously, we all like the grind is real. And everybody has multiple jobs now, which I'm so supportive of because I do too. But making sure they're succinct and being like, all right, I'm an actor, and I like, what else do you do? What else can book you a job? So if you're super into golf, like I am, that can book you a job. If you're super into hiking and being outdoorsy and you're really fit, or you're into fitness, those are types of things that you want to have there, so it's not like super cluttered, but what you're showing is there and it all supports acting.
When the actor is starting, they've gotten their handle, they've put a very concise bio in their social media, keep it Very simple, keep it clean,
Keep it real.
keep it real, acting. There you go. What is the next step after that?
So the next step is really just to post and get yourself out there, right? It's kind of like when you are acting, it's a similar journey where you decide you want to act, you take some headshots, you self submit, then you book a couple projects, you get a reel, you get an agent, and then you get submitted, and now you're hopefully booking or auditioning. It's the same kind of concept with social media. You create it yourself, you figure out what your niche is, and it can change over time. I've worked with people for years that have, consistently changed their bio and what they're going for and their brand and everything like that. So it's really just about getting on there and doing it. And then as you do it more, if you seek the right guidance, right? Like I always recommend people to come to me for help and use my services and my seminar and my company, because it's the same thing as acting. If you're not going and doing showcases, you're not taking acting classes, you're not learning. You're just kind of stuck in the same hamster wheel. You got to learn what to do. So a big part of that is once you find your niche or you're working on your niche, just getting content up there and then using resources, following the right people, working with the right people to make sure that, you know, you're using it as a tool. It's supposed to be there to book you a job. It's supposed to be there to get you an audition. It's supposed to be there to make an organic, non-transactional connection and network. And so that's the most important thing. And it takes time and obviously effort to get there.
What are some things actors should not do with their social media?
That's a great question. I feel like it's kind of hard to boil it down to just a few things, but I actually, I'm going to say this for every answer because it's great, but also I have a whole slide on this in my social media seminar for actors because it is important. Like the number one thing I tell people to do is don't post anything that is essentially negative towards other people or brands or that cannot book you a job. Like, for example, if you go to Taco Bell, right? And you get bad service at Taco Bell. And then you go on your X account or your Instagram stories or posts and you're like, I can't believe the service that Taco Bell just gave me. They're the worst. I got the soggiest chalupa of my life. I hated it. I had watered down Mountain Dew. I'm never going back to Taco Bell. Well, if you get a Taco Bell audition and they look up your social media, which they do, they might see that and go, we don't want this person trashing Taco Bell. So that's something super important. Some other ones too are, just being smart about what you're posting. Like I call them no words, like try not to have a lot of no words up there because certain brands don't like it. Certain people may be more adverse. Like if you're in a commercial or in a TV show and somebody looks you up, you want to be representative of that show or of that product or of that commercial. Um, Being yourself, being organic. I try to let people know, obviously, everybody's different, but being so super political online can obviously have its negative backlash depending on what it is either way for certain people. And so I think a lot of people want like just normal actors and people, and if you portray that, then it can really kind of help you get to that next level on social. But there's quite a few don'ts, and I see a lot of actors make some mistakes that I would advise them against. Obviously everybody's their own person, you do what you want, that's the freedom of social media, but if you have the goal in mind for actor, then you got to make some choices along the way, in my opinion.
What are some no words? I'm curious.
Well, I think I look at it as like mean in general. Um, Swear words are definitely no words. Um, I think there are different brands that are a little bit more wholesome. Can we curse on this podcast? Can I say a bad
Absolutely.
word? So if you're a mom and you're like fuck this person, and then you want to be the Huggies mom. They might not want their moms on their commercials being like, fuck shit, this is ass. like different stuff like that. So I just kind of say, you use a different word, or maybe put some asterisks in there, or just delete it altogether.
Let's go to networking. How can actors network on social media with industry people?
It's a great question, and I think my answer is being organic, because I think we all have a friend that either from work or life or whatever, and you go to the party, and the first thing they mention is, "Hey, what are you working on? Oh, wow, that's awesome. Do they need a PA, or let me know if you need anything?" Like, you never want to talk to that person. It just puts you off, and you're like, "Ugh, this person is just asking for something." And one of the things I always jump into all of my mom's classes. Judy Kane, Keep It Real Acting. Check her out. She's the best.
We love her.
But I got a great nugget from Danielle Eskenazi, who's a huge casting director. She's been around forever. She jumps into all the Keep It Real acting classes. And I was talking about my seminar in the class one night, and she's a huge fan of social media. She's always on social media. And she mentioned that one of her biggest pet peeves and things that actors do wrong on social media is just sending her a DM or a message saying, "Hey, I'd love to come in for this project," or "Hey, do you know if I got this role?" or "I'd love to audition for you sometime." And when you do that, it just puts a pressure on the other person that they don't want to help you. So I always tell people, do it in an organic way. Like, if I audition for somebody, and I didn't know them, I would start by just following them and getting to know them. And Danielle Eskenazi is a great example. She loves animal videos. So if anybody follows her, if you don't, you should. She's a good follow. She posts a lot of funny animal videos. And if you're somebody who's potentially looking to network, you can't just come in and be like, I book me on a job, right? That's off-putting. So just be a normal person. Laugh at a video. Say this is so great. Develop a relationship. Ask her how her son is, or something like that. Like, obviously not that specifically, potentially, but like, it just depends on the person and who you are. Develop a relationship. It's like, one of my best friends now is somebody that I met on set, who cast me in something completely random, and we've been working together now for, gosh, like 3 or 4 years, maybe even longer. And now we're actually good friends. And I'm doing another job for him in a couple months. And so it's just something where you want to come at it from an organic, non transactional place.
I want to go in just a little bit more with the engaging with industry people. Um, find out who they are, find out
Right.
what their credits are, because maybe you know an actor, or there's an actor whose work you really admired that they cast, and say, "I just saw SM42 and I thought you did an outstanding job casting that movie. Frankie Manis is one of my favorite actors, and I am so happy to see him working. Thank you so much for the
Yeah.
contributions you make to Hollywood." That's a wonderful little note, without saying, "Hire me, hire me, hire me." But
Exactly.
get to know who they are and really find out what they've done, so you then have something that you could talk about. Also, be of service. When you
Mhm.
reach out to people, be of service. If you know that Frankie likes football, then say, "Hey, I know you like football. I wanted to know who your team is this season, and were they your team last season?"
Yeah.
And that's a way to start a conversation. Do an icebreaker. So we're doing icebreakers on social media in a different way,
Yeah.
because I think it's important to build relationship. If you are always asking for something, nobody wants you.
Yeah.
It's what you said before. If they come at you and you don't even know them, it's offensive. Just think, if they were doing that to you, you would, if somebody came at you and wanted something and you never heard of them, you would probably go, "Oh my God, stranger danger."
Yeah. Report and block. And,
Yes.
something you said too, like, everybody is not like this. And I hate putting people into a box, but I've seen certain actors. that think that they need to be best friends with an agent at WME so they'll sign them, or they need to be friends with the person who's casting them and everything. And that's not true. You can have a fully business relationship with somebody that is also friendly. So, for example, like, Clockwork Casting is in LA. They're two of my absolute favorite human beings, and I developed a long-term relationship with them from being my mom's son and auditioning for them and booking for them. We're not texting on a regular basis. Like, we're friends on Facebook, and I'll congratulate them on something. If they call me in, I say thank you. If I book something, I send them a gift. I saw them, at an event not long ago. And so it's one of those things where understanding that, like, hey, this casting director works a lot. Your goal should not be to get them to your Sunday barbecue at your house. Like, that's where, if it happens, great. Like, it's happened for me in relationships that I've made on set, but it's no way my intent. You just develop a friendship. But there is ways to come at it from a mutual business perspective where it's, hey, it's not fully transactional. We are friendly, but I have a service and you have a service and we can help each other. And I think that's it's kind of towing the line of, understanding where pushing too far is, and not getting in and trying at least.
Let's talk about tagging industry people.
I've seen some crazy stuff. I mean, I live in the world of social media. I'm on my phone way too much. But just tagging random agents and managers and casting and like movies and TV accounts, like, it's only going to be bad. It's kind of like if you're reaching out, right? If it's a warm outreach, like if you're in an episode of General Hospital, or whatever hospital, cop, fire, fire 911, pick a name, there's probably a show. If you're in the show, it's appropriate for you to tag the person that cast you, your agent, your manager, the director, and the show. But if you want to be on the show and you're like, you tag them in a headshot, that's incredibly inappropriate. And they probably, one, won't see it, and then you won't get what you're trying to get out of it. If you do a self tape at home for Chicago Fire, and then you go on your Instagram story and go, just auditioned for Chicago Fire, it was so fun, hope I get it, or thanks casting director, agency, the show, the director of the episode. That's probably one step too far. Be organic. If you go see a movie and you love the movie and you're like, I just saw this movie, it was so good, so and so director did a great job, so and so actor did a great job, I highly recommend everybody checking it out. That's appropriate because you're just congratulating them. But it's the same thing of, like, if you're asking for something or it feels like you shouldn't do it, then you probably shouldn't do it. And I think having that filter is an important thing that I try to teach all my clients and students, that, like, put that filter on, because it may not be how you think, but you got to think from other people's perspectives.
What are some ways that actors can start engaging with their audience to create a community?
Being active is important. It doesn't take a long time to be on social media. I mean, you could do an hour a day and that would be enough. But when it's the same thing of the transactional, right? If you're only posting and replying to people's comments, you're not giving anything. Like, a like is free. A clapping hand emoji and a congratulations comment or reaction is free. So making other people feel better and supporting them in whatever industry they're in. I mean, it could be a friend that's doing real estate. They sell a house, throw them a congrats, you know. But being on their developing community means that you're building a community, you're supporting your community, you're trying, not just, I want people in my community, you know, like that. Nobody likes the selfish friend, right? Back to the party example of the guy who always asks for something at the party. If you came up to somebody and we're at a bar or at an event and somebody started talking to you and was like, you know, oh, I'm just going to talk for 30 minutes and not ask you any personal questions or ask you what you're going on. You're going to leave that conversation. You're going to be thinking in your head, how do I get out of this? Because that's not a conversation, that's somebody talking at you. And social media can be the same thing. You want to be a giver on social media, like people's stuff, comment, share, congratulate, help them. Hey, I'm looking for a new agent. Oh, hey, I found out that my agent is opening up their roster. Reach out to them. Super simple.
People who follow people, and then as soon as they're followed back, they stop following them.
Terrible.
Can you talk about that bad etiquette? Because to me, that's bad etiquette. It feels to me like it's scamming.
I'm not a huge fan of it. It can work in certain situations. One of the many ways we help our clients grow is to open up that net, right? Follow 50 new people. If people after a while don't follow you back and you feel like it's not a road you can go down, then it would be appropriate to unfollow. Um, I myself don't follow many people at all. Like my personal Instagram, I think I follow like 200 people just because I don't have the time to give back to all those people. So, like, if I were following 1,000 people, I wouldn't see what I need to see every day, and I wouldn't be on there, and I would miss people, and I'd miss, weddings, pregnancies, bookings, you know, updates, whatever. But it's just like if you at a party and you were like, "Hey, so and so, come to my barbecue," and then they came to your barbecue and then they invited you to theirs, and then you're like, "Nah, I'm good. You already came to mine." You know, that doesn't feel good. It's not respectful. Like you said, it's not good etiquette. So if you're doing that for the sole purpose of getting somebody to follow you back, they can also see that you unfollowed them. They can click on your name and see if you're following you. So it doesn't make sense. I don't advise it. It can actually be a negative.
How should actors treat social media respectfully and responsibly? Sometimes social media becomes an outlet where people feel they can make bad comments on other people's pages or just be disrespectful and think it's okay. And I've seen certain actors do that. And I think, no, that's not for you to
Yeah.
do.
I think the biggest key, and I'll go back to what I said earlier. Like I talk about this in my seminar, like be nice. Just be a nice, normal person. There's no reason to, you know, go at somebody because they have a different opinion or because somebody got a job that you didn't or somebody didn't hire you. Like just being a nice person on there, because once you post it, it's there forever. Because, even if you delete it, it can still end up in Google. Somebody can screenshot it, somebody can share it, and then it's too late. You may post it and forget to delete it, and that could be a reason you don't get a job. I think, you know, being nice and, like you said earlier, like, the etiquette, the being responsible. One other mistake that I see actors make all the time is the over posting, because you can mute people on social media now. And a lot of people have really bad engagement because they've been muted and people are following them, but they're like, I don't want to unfollow this person and make it a deal, you know, so I'll just mute them. And that way I'm following them, but I never have to see anything or like anything. If you're posting 20 stories a day, that can kind of get annoying, you know? And also, to the selfless, right? Like, oh my gosh, I just booked a huge role. I'm so excited. This is so great. Thank you to everybody. Me, right? There's a way to do stuff where it's, kind and nice, and you're not sitting there fishing for compliments and like, oh, I'm so grateful for this opportunity. I can't believe, this is going to be me. Thank you to, my team and, everybody who was supportive of me. I'm excited for this journey, doing it in nice ways. I think that's really the whole thing, because it's kind of like I don't know if you've ever heard this one, but for some reason, when everybody's in their car, they feel like they're invincible. And so if somebody does something to you, you honk the horn, you tell them to go F themselves, you flip them off, and you're just rude, and they look at you, and you have this fight because you're in between the glass. But if somebody cut you off in an elevator and you just got in their face and said like, fuck you, you're an asshole, I hate you,
I've
that would
done
be
that.
so that I've never done that. You done that? No, don't do that.
if
Oh
if
my
they
god.
oh, let me tell you, if they get it, I don't I will just say, excuse me. Excuse me.
Yeah, excuse me is fine, but like if somebody cuts you off in traffic, you're at a 10. You're like, blah, blah, blah,
No, but
blah.
I might curse at them in their face because I think if you're going to do it, you might as well do it all the way.
Well, okay, more respect to you. More respect to you because then if you I don't have the ability to do that. I'm pretty nice and even
You're a good man,
I
Frankie. You're a
try. I
good
just
man.
do my best. I just do what mama taught me. But yeah, but it is kind of the same thing in the sense of social media where you feel this keyboard power of they don't know me, they can't do anything, and it's like if you have that mindset, it can be negative.
Yeah, it's not good. What are your thoughts when actors post their auditions online?
It's great. You should because that's your resume. So your social media is your resume. Now, there's a way to do it that's correct and incorrect because if you audition for Chicago PD, you take that tape and you upload it immediately, that's not allowed. Like you can't do that. Like they haven't cast the job yet. You basically just gave away the script and that. Now, if you wait a month and they've already cast it and it wasn't you, that's fine. If you don't sign an NDA, it's fine. But there's a respectful amount of time, but you have to do that to show your chops, right? You have to do that to show how you look in front of the camera, how you are with script and improvisation and posting the funny moments and the outtakes. Like that's all great. One of the things that I always recommend people do and what I see a lot that always does fantastic is the script to screen type of edits, where it's here's a job that I auditioned for, here's the audition, and then I booked it, and here's the actual spot. Like it's kind of like a before and after for a home and everybody loves those. So I highly recommend that. But I think there's a way to do it where you understand, like, all right, if the audition's on the 15th and the callback's on the 20th and they're shooting the 30th, then you kind of have a timeline of knowing when you can do it. If you don't sign an NDA and you audition for it, and unfortunately you didn't get it, but you had a great audition, you should let people know, hey, I'm auditioning. And also I always tell my actors, I talk a lot about this in the seminar, when you're doing social media, having your phone in your hand, getting content is so important because you don't have to post the audition clip. You could post, oh my gosh, just got an audition. So excited, can't wait to film it. You could take a still from the audition, or somebody who's taping you can take a, behind the ring light in your setup photo after the audition. Just had a great theatrical audition, super excited. You can do all these different things if you don't want to do that. And that's what I try to tell people all the time. Posting and actually doing stuff is the best way to get ahead than like, well, I'm not working right now, I have nothing to post. That's when you need to post the most because you need to get the next job. You got to work when you're not working. You can't just sit and wait for the job and then, go on a spree like I'm in a commercial, I'm in a commercial, I'm in a commercial, I'm in a commercial, and then I got nothing going on. I'll see you guys in a month.
What's the limit of posts they should make daily?
Everybody's different. Everybody's different. It depends on the account you have, it depends on the followers, it depends on what you're doing on a daily basis. If you're taking a selfie and posting a selfie every day main page, no, you need my help, right? I advise people every other day. That's a very good formula for not overdoing it, but also being consistent. So if you're a normal person, or you're an actor, or you're trying to work, or you are working, every other day is a very good system because then it's 3 or 4 posts a week, right? Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and then repeat just every other day. Because then something can always be up on your story. You have something new to offer people,
Mm-hmm.
but you're not overdoing it. The people that post every day or multiple days, you really have to either have a hard product to sell that needs promotion, or you're some type of influencer that is like, again, also selling something or increasing your brand or having to stay in the algorithm. But everybody's different. I post for some people 5 times a week, 6 times a week, once a week. It really is a case by case basis. But the multiple time a day people, I think, get muted and unfollowed a lot unless
Hmm.
they're truly offering something special, which is either information or entertainment.
What social media platforms should actors focus on?
Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn. You can also be on other ones. I know people that don't like X, and that's fine. I know people that are worried about TikTok with everything going on, and that's fine. But like for my influencers that I manage, my celebrities and influencers on my branding roster, if they're not on 4 out of those 6, they're losing money, you know. And I think there's so many ways to do pictures, videos, carousels, reels, different types of content that you're essentially limiting your opportunity.
So, what is one social media tip you would like every actor to know?
That's a good one. I have so many, but if I had to boil it down, the number one thing that I have with actors is just they don't want to post it or whatever it is or something. Just do it, right? Nike, just post, because nobody ever got a job or got an opportunity by sitting and waiting, right? You have to create your opportunity. And that's what I work on with people on social media and actors specifically, is creating that opportunity, whether it's a business or something else you're doing. Like, just post it, just do it, just be active. Even if you go for a run, like, you could get an audition or book a job because you're athletic and running. You know, if you're cooking something and they want real cooks or people in the kitchen, like, post it. You know, just doing it, because waiting doesn't help anybody. You have to be active. You have to be ahead of the curve and doing more than the other person. So I always advise people to, yeah, it's a headshot, post it. It's an audition clip, post it. It's a funny video. It may not get a million views. You may not go viral. You might get one comment from, your aunt, or, it might get 10 views, but you never know unless you do it.
With that, I'm thinking of actors who are very uncomfortable just being on social media. So they just, no matter what you say to them, they are adverse to being on social media. What do you say to them?
It's fine. Everybody's different, you know? Like, there are people that don't like meat. Cool. I'm getting a steak, you know? And I respect them. And I hope they respect me. But it's I've seen it really work. And if you listen to the right people and you take advantage of the opportunity, it can also work for you. Now, if you're Brad Pitt and you're not on social media, that's fine, because you're Brad Pitt. You don't need social media. You have CAA or WME or UTA or whoever he's with, right? You know, but for people that are taking beginning classes and are trying to grow their brand and are trying to get more auditions and break into the industry, or they do okay, but they need to hit another level, there's no reason why you can't try this and it can't help. Um, but you want to obviously have the right tools. It's kind of like, well, I don't need acting class. I know I can act. I just need the auditions. Well, guess what? The class, you add it to your resume, and then you tell your people, and then they tell people that you're taking class at so and so casting director or agent comes into the class, and then they get to know you, and then your headshot pops up on their screen the next time they're casting, and they remembered you from Judy's A to Z class, and then they audition you, and then you get an audition. It's the same concept with social media of, the people that do it, it works. I have clients that have gotten direct offers via DM because they've worked with people before. They stayed connected. They saw their profile, remembered them, were casting something, and got the job. or directing something or producing something. The last big job that I got, I just did a huge carparts.com campaign, and I live in Dallas now and work out here, but my friend in LA posted it on his stories, "Hey, does anybody want to audition for this?" And I was like, "Why didn't you call me in?" Like, I'll do it. And he goes, "I totally forgot." And then I auditioned and I got it. So there's always success stories, and there's just it's opportunity, right? That's how I think.
We kind of hit upon mistakes that actors make, but I would like to talk about the benefits. In
Yeah.
addition to, someone might find you and, oh my God, Frankie, I forgot about you. Let me have you in to audition. What are some other benefits that you have seen with actors on social?
It's all about connection, right? And especially with social media, it's putting yourself in front of people more so you're remembered. So I know, like, there's so many actual tangible examples, but you take an acting class, follow the people in your acting class that are active on social media. They end up doing a film themselves or with a friend and book you. And then now you have a job and a connection, and then they get bigger, right? You're on set. You make a connection with the second AD, you know. That second AD is going to become a first AD and then hopefully a director. And then now you have a friend and a connection. You know, uh, I know people that were reluctant to social media, started posting videos. They were funny and they gained a huge following, and then now make more money on brand deals because they did that and took that step, and get more commercial and acting work because they have a following. Like, you can get, I mean, I can't tell you the amount of jobs that I've seen where they want to know how many followers you have because they want you to influence your audience and have a known name. And if you're not trying to do that, you're taking away work from yourself. Now, that's not every job, it's not for everybody, but it's another opportunity. The connecting of it, right? Like we were talking about agents and managers. You take a class and a manager comes in, you follow them. You never know when you're going to need a new manager, or if you're looking for a manager, sending them a message and saying, "Hey, thanks so much for dropping in. It was great to hear you speak. You really gave me a lot to think about, and it was so interesting and great having you there." And then next thing you know, they message and say, "Thank you so much. You were fantastic. Let's set a meeting." There's all these little things that, can pop up because of this, right? And if you're in stuff, you develop a fan base, right? Like, people see you and then they Google you to try to find out who you are, if you're funny or they like the product or the commercial, and then they follow you and you get somebody else. And then now you're developing that.
By having a social media platform, being on the different sites, you don't know who's particular to LinkedIn or Facebook, or they may not all go to IG, but they saw you in a TV show, they saw you in a play, they saw you in something, they looked up your name, they took the time to look up your name. The
Yep.
first thing they're going to do is, either if they're industry, they'll go to IMDb Pro looking you up, but most of the time they're going right to social media to find you. And
Yep.
so I just wanted to stop there, because I think if you don't have social media for any other reason, you should have it, just because if you are working, if you are getting out there, industry wants to be able to find you and
Yep.
to have your name, and then you can't find the person. And I've been on the other end of casting something, we couldn't find them, they weren't union, they weren't on IMDb Pro, so we went to social media. And it's such a bummer when you cannot find somebody that you go, oh my God, they would be perfect for this, and they are nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to stop there, because
Yeah.
that's something that is really um, crucial, I think, for actors. To me, social media is your PR person.
It
For
is.
those of you who can't afford PR or don't want to buy PR, social media is your publicist.
It's so important. And one thing you said too is think about the professionals behind the camera, right? Not everybody is you. So LinkedIn is something that I'm trying to tell actors that they have to develop, because directors, producers, ad agencies, companies, casting directors, people are on there and they're posting jobs and what they're working on there. And you have an opportunity there as well. Spencer Cramber, who's a teacher at Keep It Real Acting, he always shares this story when I jump in. He was in a meeting and this big Hollywood actor, came into the room and they had their lawyer and they had their publicist and they had their agent and they had their manager and then they had their stylist and they had everybody on their team at that big table. And actors at different levels don't have those people. So you have to be that person. You have to make sure that you are presenting in the right way. You have to make sure that you're doing the outreach and your publicity yourself. You have to do the networking. You have to do the self-submitting on Actors Access. You have to find these different things, and social media has become the easiest way to do it. And there is no reason not to do it, you know?
And for those actors who get frustrated and they go, well, I only got 2 likes on this picture, I only got 3 likes on this video. It doesn't matter. You're keeping an account of what you've done. So, as what Frankie said earlier, when someone goes to look for you, they'll be able to see everything you've done. And it is satisfying when you work behind the camera to be able to find somebody and then be able to see, oh, they did this, oh, they were on this, oh, they took this class, oh, they look like they like boxing or they like golfing. Wow, this is great. Because
Yeah,
you were talking about LinkedIn. A lot of studio executives are on LinkedIn.
yep,
Every studio executive is on LinkedIn. So it's not just about casting. You have studio executives, you have streaming executives, network executives, and sometimes they're the ones who are looking for you. It's not casting, it's
I know.
them.
They want to check.
Mm.
They want to check who they're hiring, what's on what. It's important. It's important. And I think the people that are serious about it understand that, and they want to take those steps.
How should an actor who's listening to you now clean out their account to make sure that they are castable?
Your social media should be your new resume. Social media is your resume because they might Google you and find you. And yes, they can see your credits on IMDb, but what are you doing in the meantime? Are you taking class? Do you have special skills that aren't on there? You know, uh, Old headshots, right? Like really old. If there's a headshot of you that doesn't look like you now, anything on your social media is on Google. So if they Google you and then see your old headshot on Instagram from 7 years ago, where for me, if I'm longer hair, no beard, and down 10 pounds, like I don't look how I look if I show up to set. So if they see that, they're gonna think they're getting a different person. So it's super important that old stuff. Like I've seen people that have a lot of quotes and things like that doesn't really help your career as much. Um, you know, Making sure that it's what you're doing today. If you were super into surfing 4 years ago and now don't anymore at all and don't want to, you probably would need to take that down, because if they see something like that, they may think you can do it. So trying to archive, delete old stuff, if it's not furthering you today, then it doesn't need to be there.
Even though this isn't social media, it is connected to getting cast or industry looking at you. My pet peeve is people who have IMDb Pro account or they're on IMDb Pro, they have no pictures, they have nothing, no contact information. that's an injustice to your career. I just want you to know. You don't have to put a million pictures, but you should have at least two headshots of yourself on IMDb Pro. So
Yeah. If you are, on LA Casting or Casting Networks or IMDb Pro or Actors Access, that's also technically kind of a social media adjacent thing. Like there's an app for IMDb, so that's got to be social media, right? Like, having your demo reel and making sure it's not old. That's one of the things that I started doing was editing demo reels for actors because I was seeing so many people. I was like, this footage is so old. You don't look like this anymore. Like you can't have something from 2017 out there. Like you got to have something new. And obviously we're all in different situations, but your headshots need to be you. You need to have links to your social media up there. You need to have updated credits and what you're doing in your bio. If you've accomplished stuff, you can even upload photos of you on set. Like what you're uploading to Instagram could also go on your IMDb. It's just another form of opportunity that a lot of people I unfortunately see aren't taking advantage of.
I would also recommend one other thing. In addition to your social media platforms that you are up on, you should have uh, not necessarily a big website, but one page that gives us your social media and contact information. That there should be a way to contact you, because some actors, as we started talking earlier, when you get your name, sometimes the name is different on every social media account. They didn't know to try to find a name that they can just have across the board, or they couldn't get it. I find it very effective to have a one page website, and it's easy. You can, there's so many website servers that you can just have one page with your picture, with your contact information. So not your personal email, but have an email that you get on Google or some email site that people can get a hold of you. It's your business email, so that you don't miss opportunities. Because if I'm looking for you on social media and I can't find you, I'm going to go looking for your name and go, well, do they have a website? They're not even on IMDb Pro. It just, you want, you want the industry to find you in the quickest way possible.
So that's actually interesting because that's something that I kind of have a little bit of a different opinion on. And I've talked to a lot of actors about this. But to me, having a website as an actor, I find that that isn't needed anymore if you're doing the other things that we're talking about, right? Like if you if you should, and if you do have IMDb or IMDb Pro, your phone number, business email, social handles should be there. If you have an Instagram, you should have an email there. You should have a contact information, but to me that's your resume. And I see a lot of actors like that have, I mean, obviously having a, if you can find it for free and just have a one page like frankiemannis.com or Frankie Mannis actor, and it's, all the links, like a link tree, right? A big fan of link tree because that gets everybody everything all the time. But I've seen actors with like full websites, and my first thought is always, I'm like, one, how much are you paying to keep this up? you know, and who is actually reaching out to you this way? Like you could do an Instagram for free, have the same pictures, the same links, and your phone number, or if you're uncomfortable with that, the best email to reach you. And one of the things that people don't do, which I always tell them to do, is sync up your profile photos. So if your headshot is on IMDb Pro and Actors Access and LA Casting, make that headshot the same one for Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, X, TikTok, because if they Google you and they see the same headshot everywhere, it's clear that it's you. And then if they find that email attached, they know it's also you.
I'm going to add one thing to the website.
Yeah.
And I hear this all the time of people, well, I don't want a website. social media comes and goes. You could build, we've had many different social media platforms come and go, and you lose all your uh, followers or your subscribers or however they're calling it. If you have a website that has your name and your contact information, how to reach you, and your headshot, they can always find you. So that's my um because I've heard actors lose their pages. They've lost everything on their, they got shut out of Instagram. Somebody hijacked their Facebook or their, and they don't have access to it. So if that's your only source of how people reach you, you're in trouble now.
My company account actually got deleted because somebody reported or something. And most of the time, it's very easy to deal with it, but sometimes it can be hard. But that's why I always advise people like diversify your portfolio. Putting it all in Apple is great until it's not, right? Putting it all on Instagram is great until it's not. So having a LinkedIn, having a YouTube, having a Facebook, having an IMDb, an X, a TikTok, like because then you tell everybody to go follow you elsewhere, right? Vine, I was actually somebody who grew up in the Vine era and I had a good following on Vine. I was trying to get them all on different platforms and I did for a while, but Vine went away. January or next year TikTok could go away. We'll see what happens, but if it does, you can't put all your eggs in that basket. Like post those same things on Instagram because you want it to grow at a similar rate, or hopefully those people will easily be able to find you that way.
Tell us a little bit about your social media class.
Right now, I have one class. It's a 3-hour seminar through Keep It Real Acting called the Social Media Seminar for Actors. It's done every few months on a weekend for 3 hours on Zoom. I have a whole PowerPoint. I go through everything. We look at people's social media, we talk about it. It's only $49. So it's very, very reasonable. And you obviously can sign up for that anytime on my website, media43.com, which I do have a website, I should say. But it's my company website, or at keepitrealacting.com. And basically, with that, it's so important for people to get the information at a very cost effective number that no matter what, they learn something, they gain some followers, and they're happy. That's my biggest thing is giving them the information, and then what you do with it, you do with it. After that, I also do separately from that, and also in conjunction with that, I do consultations, which are one on one calls or Zooms with me where we really dissect what your goal is and what you're doing. We work on your pillars, we work on the do's and don'ts. I work on helping you create your content. And it's a super effective way to give people honest feedback of where they're at, where they want to be, how to get there. Also, very cost effective. I work with people weekly, bi weekly, monthly. It really just depends on the individual. And I always give them homework too, because I feel like a lot of times people talk to people and they're like, all right, talk to you later. It's like, no, I want to make sure here are two, one, three things to work on. So when we talk next time, you're at a place where you learned and got better. And if you didn't do the homework, then we know what we have to work on still, right? And then from that, I also offer like full social media management where people don't have a lot of time to get to the level that they want. So we offer that service with my team to ensure that they're posting regularly, they're on there, they're networking, we're talking to people for them as them, and not like, hey, this is so and so running the account. No, it's really them. We work really hard to get their voice down and tell them this is what we're sending. This person messaged you. You're growing this amount, making sure that it's kind of the holistic route of understanding the person, their career, their goals, and making sure they achieve that. And we do that service as well.
For the actor who maybe doesn't want to take the class because they're kind of shy or they're uncomfortable, but they want to do a training with you, it
Yeah.
what do you recommend? Is it like twice, three times? Is there like if I go to you three times, I will have my social media ready to rock and roll? Or is it just a one off? If I just do a one session with you, what's the average? I mean, I know everybody is different, but what is the average of someone who doesn't have their social media up to par and really wants some help from you?
It is hard to answer that because it is dependent on people. Like I've worked with people that are social media like savvy. They get it. I've worked with them doing a biweekly call for 2 years, and it's more of I call it social media therapy where, sometimes it's all about the social media, sometimes it's a little bit about the life and the advice and, where am I going, what am I doing? And I've also worked with people that are, they don't know how to download Instagram. They don't know their Apple ID. So everybody always starts at a different level, but I'd say on average, like I'll mostly meet with my people once every 2 weeks. And I'd say after 3 months, almost everybody, wherever they're at, is way more competent and available to do it. The way I do it as well too is because I've seen so many people in this business try to just take advantage of people and like sign up for this huge package and you'll get this and this and this and this, and there's no guarantees. I offer no guarantees because everybody's different, everybody works differently. It's so hard to track that, and if you offer guarantees, you better guarantee them or it doesn't work out. So I do 1 hour at a time and I split it up into two 30-minute sessions. So, like, somebody could sign up for an hour of consults and we'll do 30 minutes. I give them homework. I talk to them in 2 weeks. We do the other 30 minutes. They can cancel anytime, they can renew anytime, but I'm not trying to, sign anybody up for a year or 6 months or make it a thing. It really depends on the person because everybody has life going on. Some people might be taking a vacation or they might take a break from acting or they have a, finance or health issue. Like, to me, it's just if you want the help, I'm there to help you as much as you do it. And I'm working really hard for them in those sessions, doing my research, doing my prep, coming up with the ideas, having our team do research. I'm doing research. So it really works well for the people that are either curious, that don't know where to start, that need to grow, that also are working on it. Because if you do put in the time, you will see the result.
How important are hashtags?
Hashtags were way more important a while ago. I actually just had this meeting today with my whole team about this. They are still important. They should still be used, but they need to be used in the correct way. And I always advise people, if you don't know something, obviously, you can talk to me. I'm always available and I'll answer those questions. But you can also look at people that are doing it right. Like Keep It Real Acting, their accounts are doing it correctly. Media 43, Frankie Manis. Like following people, social media advisors, us, our clients, our accounts, it'll show you how it's done correctly, because putting 30 hashtags about actors is not going to benefit you. There's a lot of in-depth stuff, and I do a whole slide plus on this in my seminar about, you know this is too much, this is too little. It's different on Instagram than it is on TikTok. It's different on YouTube. There's character restrictions. You don't need as many on X. You should do more professional ones on LinkedIn. So it is important, but it is essentially a math formula that you do want to be updated on and getting correct current info on.
And how important is location or the geographic thing for your social media?
Not as important as you would think. If you do think that, I don't think that you need to say like I am at the McDonald's on Lankershim and Ventura Boulevard. If you're there or something, if you're at Disneyland, you're at Disneyland. You don't need to tell people you're at Disneyland. It can help. I think a lot of people look at it as a privacy issue. If people are looking that stuff up, if it's big enough, right? Like a Disneyland, people are looking up Disneyland, right? Universal Studios, the WB lot, like that type of stuff. But I mean, if you're at a small little restaurant in the valley in Sherman Oaks and people don't know it, they're not looking up that location as much. So it's more a case by case basis. But I don't think anybody is, either being hurt or helped to a level that makes it mandatory or not for that.
Privacy issues. I forgot about privacy. What should actors not post and keep private?
I think that it's hard to put that in a box because everybody is different. Social media isn't one size fits all. I think certain people are more private. You don't obviously don't want to give out your address and certain information, but one of the things that I talk about more so, there's not necessarily a don't there, so I'll answer it this way. But for me, I've talked to a lot of people that are really, really sensitive about them being out there and people knowing who they are and their name or their family or seeing where they've been. And my question to people is always, well, you're an actor, right? So you don't want to post that you're at Disneyland right now for 600 people that are following you, but you're okay putting your face and representing a company and being on national TV for millions of people at any point, anytime, that can take a photo of your face and look you up on Google and AI you and everything. Like that to me is where I think there's just a mild amount of hypocrisy. So when people have those concerns and they come to me with them and I express that, they're normally like, "Oh, I didn't think about that." So I think that there is a way to do it in privacy of like, hey, if you're out of town and you're in Sweden for a week and you don't want people potentially knowing you're not at your house, just wait a week till you're back home. You're still going to be able to post about your trip, you know?
Utilizing common sense.
Yeah. And it's not, we're not reinventing the wheel here. I think it's here. I think it's here to stay for a very long time. It's going to continue to evolve, but the people that evolve win. The people that
Mm,
move forward, that take advantage of stuff, I think are going to be putting themselves in a better situation for the future and what's to come.
I love that. People who evolve win. That's everything. Oh my goodness. Frankie just dropped so many gems. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know what you think in the comments. And while you're at it, buy me a coffee. And don't go anywhere because this next video is going to help you. If you go to film festivals and want to know how to network, this is the cheat sheet for you.